artwork that we define as fine art definitely has a different look. A lot of times I'm using different mediums, where the children's book illustrations are basically watercolor and ink. This is more collage. I use a lot of assemblage, acrylics, mixed media. I deal with more social issues and political issues, and it definitely has a lot darker tone to it than what I do for the children's books. So this is, doing books for 8 years now. This is the first book that's come out that I think really can tap into an older audience. Not that the children's books don't tap into an older audience, but this is definitely not for kids. Decided that we were going to do a push for one of my books, and I had 3 books that came out at the same time period. There's Sipping Spiders Through a Straw, and The Dangerous Alphabet, and then Where Madness Reigns, my art book. All came out within the same week, and we needed to focus on one book and say, okay, let's focus on the art book, and let's do a big event around it. And I think it started out fairly small, like a small concept. I can't quite remember, but I think we were just going to do a book signing. And then when we had the space for it, when we found the space, which was HALLOWEENTOwn, we decided we kept building on top of that and said, oh, well, they have this gallery space, well, let's do an art show with all the artwork from the past 10 years that I haven't sold, or new pieces that have been done in the past 10 years that I haven't even offered to be bought. We kind of wanted to do it like a retrospective, like what has been done in the past 10 years, and we have, a display of movie props from my film and some vinyl toys that I painted, and all the prints that have been released in the past 10 years, and all the original art that's been created over the past 10 years that I have not offered up for sale. So it's weird, I've told people, oh yeah, it's an art show at HALLOWEENTOwn, and HALLOWEENTOwn, it's all about, it's a killer space. So this piece here, let's see, United Disease Producers of America. This was a piece that I needed to do a cover for the art book, and the covers that we tried to use some of the older pieces and throw them into a template for the cover, and they just weren't working. I wasn't happy with them, so I said, well, I'm gonna do a piece designed for the cover, and I started working on this piece, and it was supposed to be, we knew that the title of the piece was Where Madness Reigns, or the book was going to be Where Madness Reigns. And so I started doing, this crazy character. And during the time period, my girlfriend was reading a book, Fast Food Nation, and started talking to me about some of the issues that we're having with meat. And I'm a huge meat eater. I love steak, and I still love meat. But it really brought out a lot of issues of how we're making our food in America, and it's become a consumer product opposed to food for someone to eat. And that's just not how you should be processing your food. It shouldn't be like Walmart or Kmart, or let's make some cheap, something as cheap as possible so we can make a profit on it. And so this piece started to evolve into something else where I brought in the cow dissected into the cuts of meat, and labeled the cuts as different diseases that you can get from not necessarily eating meat, but what's wrong with the meat that they're producing for us because they want to make a profit off that meat. This is a piece, the Harrowing of Paradise. A lot of people think this has something to do with flaws with America. That wasn't really my point in this. It's more about the American, the corruption of the American dream. We're all supposed to be able to get a job and open up our own business. And I think the way corporate America has gone, it's become so difficult for someone to open up their own mom and pop record shop and keep it in business, because just the way corporation has taken over, and they'll plant a corporate store right across the street, drive all the business away, and you really see a lot of and not just mom and pop shops, but artists like struggling to do something the way they want to do and not sell out to the man, and do something, for example, music. There's great bands out there, but it seems like in order to make a living at it, you got to sell out and do what the corporations want you to do. This is a piece called The Birth and Death of Everything, and I went to visit Mexico City maybe 5 years ago and came back and was really inspired by a lot of the Mesoamerican mythology there and the folk art. And this is a goddess, Guadalupe, who is the kind of the birthing goddess. Everything comes from her and everything goes back to her when it dies.